I just landed my first lead in a national tour at the age of 51. So I want to just talk a little bit about how I got here and what my process was and share that with you a little bit. And if maybe that inspires somebody out there to chase their dream, then I think that's a good goal. So when I was a kid, I started in theater. I loved theater, grew up in theater, grew up on the stage, was the president of the thespian club at my school, did all of the shows in high school. When I was 18, I moved to LA to pursue acting, and I realized pretty quickly that I had gone from being a big fish in a small pond to being a very, very small fish in a very, very big ocean. And at the end of the day, Hollywood didn't care about me. Hollywood didn't care that I was a talent. They didn't care about anything. And I was just another face in the crowd. I couldn't even get an audition. And that was very frustrating for me. And I tried and I got swindled by agents or people who called themselves agents. There's a lot of things. I'll talk about that a little bit later, maybe in another podcast. But, I finally got frustrated and I started to find that people were actually willing to hire me on the other side, on the production side, that, the people were looking for production assistants, and they were looking for, gophers, and they were looking for things, and that was a way to get in to that side of the business. And I actually made a really good career of that, kind of forgot acting, left acting behind. And I would dip my foot in every now and then. I would go back to my old theater and do some shows here and there, or I performed in the Waterworld stunt show up at Universal for a while, but that was really because I was a manager. I had gone into the production end in Universal and wound up jumping in on the shows there, but it wasn't a professional pursuit. It was just for fun. It was a fun show. So I'd really gotten away from acting overall completely. Didn't have any current headshots. I didn't have any current reel. I didn't have an actor's access account. I didn't have any of that stuff. I had built up a pretty good business, on the production side and as a producer. And I bought my house producing. I had bought my car. I had made a great living doing this. And in my late 30s, early 40s, I had got an offer to head up a media department for a big company. And so I accepted that and left Hollywood behind. And in so doing, I left all my contacts behind too. I left all of everything that I was doing. And, if you walk away from Hollywood, you got about 6 months to a year before everybody forgets your name. And I was gone for a good 5 years. And when I was 45, that big company screwed me, as big companies do. And suddenly I found myself without a job and without any contacts and without a career. It was really crippling. And so I was left at this kind of, place as to where do I go from here? What do I do? Nobody's going to hire, a 45-year-old PA with a giant production resume, and nobody's going to hire a producer that they haven't worked with before. So kind of what do I do? And I was kind of at this crisis of career, at this kind of crossroads, and I looked at it and said, well, what did I come here for? I came here because of my love for acting. And if I got to start over, maybe I start over doing that. And I start over as an actor. And that's what I did. And I started from ground zero, and I built my resume, and I built up my, fortunately I had some stuff from before, but I had to get an all new reel, and I had to get new headshots and all that stuff. And I wasn't SAG either at the time, so I had to get my SAG card. And I wound up, I found a manager, I found an agent and commercial agent. I dabbled in theater a little bit, with some friends. I did some black box, one acts in North Hollywood. And then I did a, Christmas show on Ventura Boulevard in a little 99-seater, a good show. But I wasn't really, that was just for fun. It was just kind of like to get back into the groove of things. And then fall of 2019, I decided, you know what? I think I want to try and get back into musical theater. I want to get back into it, but I think I need I need a running start at it. And there was an audition on Actors Access for a new show at the Glendale Center Theater. And I was familiar with Glendale Center Theater. I had seen a show there, so it was a respectable theater. It wasn't some again, a little black box in NoHo or something. It was a respectable theater. It was I think it's a 300 seat theater. And it paid. Not great gas money, but again, better than nothing, on Santa Monica Boulevard or whatever. So I said, all right, well, this is just an exercise to get back into auditioning. Never expected to get the part. And I got the part. And I was like, oh my gosh, I was the lead, and it was The Ghost and Mrs. Muir, and I got the lead. And I thought, oh my gosh. So I went and I did this show, and I fell in love with theater again. Absolutely fell in love with theater again. And I fell in love, my crew and the cast in this show were they're still my great, very, very dear friends to me. I mean, every one of them is just hugely talented. And then right on the heels of that, then they were coming up on their annual big production of A Christmas Carol, and they didn't have anyone to play Scrooge. And I had played Scrooge before, and I loved the part. So I said, I'd be happy to audition, and they cast me as Scrooge, and I did that. I mean, back-to-back shows, and literally, as I'm in rehearsals for A Christmas Carol, I see that there's auditions for the Candlelight Pavilion, which is a beautiful dinner theater down in Claremont, and they do great shows. And it was for Man of La Mancha, and I've always wanted to do Man of La Mancha. I'll go down and audition for that. And I went out and auditioned for that, and I got one of the Muleteers. I just kind of walked in the door and sang the song, and they cast me as one of the Muleteers and as the captain of the Inquisition. And then I met some more great people, and I'm like, this is great. And the rehearsals for that literally started 2 days after Christmas Carol closed. So I'm on this crazy roll. And right in the middle of that, I had auditioned also for Kinky Boots for an equity theater called 3D Theatricals that was doing the West Coast premiere of Kinky Boots. And I didn't think anything of it. And right in the middle of the run for Man of La Mancha, I get cast in Kinky Boots, which starts halfway through the Man of La Mancha run. And now I'm like, oh crap. I've done it. I've double booked myself. What do I do? But I can't really say no because this is an equity show. And I've gone from doing literally, 300 seat, little nothing show to an equity show in literally 2 months. And I can't say no to this. Fortunately, the people over at Candlelight were so wonderful and really understanding. And I gave them plenty of notice, which, by the way, you want to do if you have to switch up. And so they had enough time to fill my shoes. And again, it was one of the Muleteers. It wasn't a huge role, wasn't all that difficult. So I didn't feel too bad about that, having to step out. And I went and did Kinky Boots with 3D Theatricals. Okay, wonderful people. And as I'm in the middle of that, I get cast in, again, over at Candlelight Pavilion, their production of Billy Elliot as the dad. Dream role. Love this role, right? Now, again, remember, this is all from September 2019 through that I made a decision to audition for a musical theater production because I hadn't done it in 10, 15 years. And now I've just had 4 shows back to back up through March of 2020. I just said March of 2020. What happened in March of 2020? COVID shut down, right? Literally the first day of rehearsal for Billy Elliot. I was off book. Boom, right? And everything shuts down. All right, so that's gone. Fast forward, 1.5 years later, everything starts to open up. Billy Elliot's gonna come up again, right? Getting ready for that, and I get a call to do an audition for the national tour of South Pacific. Now, I had a few national tours that I had auditioned for in the months leading up to the end of the COVID pandemic. I had gotten callbacks for Waitress, for Hairspray, and I think one or two other national tours. I didn't get them. It was like no big deal. I honestly, and this is me being very honest, was not really interested in going on tour. But of course, I'm not going to turn down the opportunity to audition. And they had originally asked me to audition for the part of Emile DeBeck, which I thought was really strange. I'm like, I'm not an Emile, and even my agent and all my friends are like, "You're not an Emile. You're a Billis. You're Luther Billis." I don't know, whatever. So I send off my audition for Emile, and of course, I don't hear anything. I'm not an Emile. I didn't hear anything. A month later, I get a call from my agent. They want you to read for Luther Billis. Oh, okay, great. So I send off my Luther Billis. And a week later, my agent gets back to me. They love you. They want you to fly out to New York on the 22nd to audition for them. So I go out, basically, long story short, I go out and I literally flew to New York for 20 hours. I flew in, got a hotel room, slept, got up, walked to the audition on Broadway. It was in a building on Broadway. Did the audition. My agent said I was stepping out the door and they were already calling to offer me the part. Which is great, right? That's awesome. And they were wonderful. Great group of people. I'm very excited to be able to work with them. But it worked out really great. And so, and here's the bonus, is that it didn't interfere with Billy Elliot. So I get to do Billy Elliot, which I'll keep you guys updated on. But 2 weeks after Billy Elliot closes, I get on a plane to New York for South Pacific and Luther Billis. So it'll be a ride, and I'll keep you guys updated. And if you want, follow me and go on this ride with me. I'm really excited. So all that to say, 51, new career. It's possible. It's never too late to follow your dreams. Do it. Do it. That's the worst that can happen is you fail. Okay, but at least you tried. And so I'm very excited in my new career in my middle age to be following my dream that I originally came to Hollywood for.